Welcome everyone. My name is Pramod Bisal and currently I am a Group A gazetted officer in Indian Railways. In this video, I am going to tell you about the lifestyle of IAS officers. Mainly in this part 1, I am going to tell you about salaries and allowances. So what exactly do we get in our accounts after every month? Then I will discuss about benefits other than salaries and allowances. So what sort of benefits can you expect for being a gazetted officer? Then I will talk about bungalow and vehicle provision, and finally about the provision of a personal servant or a personal peon. Now, if you want any specific information, you can jump to that particular timestamp here, or you can watch complete video for full information. Now, when we discuss about salaries and allowances, most of you are already aware that every Group A gazetted officer gets inducted in level 10 of 7th CPC, which means that our basic pay is 56,100 at the time of induction to the service. Now, this basic pay gets revised every year. We get an increment of 3% in this every year, and whenever we get promoted, our basic pay will simply shift to the next level. Now, other than this basic pay, there will be certain allowances. So, very first allowance is dearness allowance, which is basically for the inflation, and it gets revised every 6 months. Now, current rate for DA is 17%, and in July it is going to get increased to 28%. So, for our calculation, let's take it as 17% only. That is our current rate. So, our DA will be around 9,500. Other than dearness allowance, there will be a transportation allowance in case you are not given a vehicle by your office. So let's assume for the calculation that there is no vehicle given to you by the government, then you are going to receive a transportation allowance, and the rate for transportation would be either 7,200 plus DA or 3,600 plus DA. It depends upon the city of your posting. So in major metro cities only, like Delhi, Kolkata, Bombay, Chennai, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, in these cities the rate is 7,200 plus DA. Otherwise, for all other locations, the rate is 3,600 plus DA. So for the majority point of view and for the sake of our calculation, let's assume it as 3,600 plus 17%, that comes out to be 4,212 transportation allowance. Now, other than these two allowances, there will be HRA if you are not allotted any quarter or bungalow by government, but that is a very rare case, so we are not going to assume that for our calculation here. Now, there will be NPS contribution by government into our account, and that is 14% of our basic plus DA. Now that comes out to be roughly 9,100. So these are the basic elements of our monthly salary, and if we total them, then we get 79,000 gross salary. Now this is the gross salary, but we do not get that exact amount in our accounts because there will be certain deductions also. Now the very first deduction would be NPS. This government contribution goes directly to our NPS account. So it basically gets deducted from our gross salary. Then there will be 10% deduction of personal NPS also, and that is mandatory for every employee. So 10% amounts to roughly 6,500 basic plus DA. So that also gets deducted from our gross salary, and then there will be a tax deduction. So I can say roughly 3,200, 3,300 on average, there will be a tax deduction every month. And then if you are allotted a quarter, then there will be some minimal charges for that quarter, like water charges, electricity charges, basic rent, lawn charges, and all petty charges, including your officers club charge. It amounts to roughly 2,000. So I can say the tax plus other charges, they are roughly 5,000, and all other deductions, if I subtract from the gross salary, then the net amount that I get every month is roughly 58,000 rupees. So that is the net pay that I am getting. But when we say that net salary is 58,000, people usually ignore the amount that is getting credited into NPS accounts. So do not ignore that. There is 58,000 in your hand, and there is a NPS government contribution and your own contribution in your NPS account also. So this is the basic salary structure that we have for all gazetted officers. It's same only. Now, when we are out of the headquarters, which is a very rare case for official purpose, then per day there will be traveling allowance also. But we are not going to include that because it's a very rare case. So there is no point of doing calculations based upon that. At the same time, there is no overtime, there is no night duty allowance for any gazetted officer, because we are supposed to be officers, we are supposed to own the work, and we are responsible and accountable for everything that is happening in and around our work. So we are not given any overtime, we are not given any night duty allowance. Well, other than these salaries and allowances, there are certain more benefits for being a gazetted officer. Number one such benefits is officers club. Now these clubs are totally exclusive to the officers of that particular department, and they can be used for any festival, for any celebrations like New Year celebration, Diwali, Holi, any type of celebration, personal use as well as for the official use, it can be taken. Right now, apart from these clubs, there are a sports complex, again exclusive to the officers of that particular department only, and you have the facilities like badminton, table tennis, indoor games like chess and other games, and outdoor games also can be included. Depending upon your own interest, you can ask the respective official to include that particular facility, and you will most probably get the facility in your sports complex. Now other than these two, there will be officers rest house in almost every location where you can suppose to go. For example, in Indian Railways, in all major stations, near all major stations, there is an officers rest house, and it can be booked by the respective officer. So you can book it for duty purpose, on duty purpose. You can book it for personal use, I mean without on duty purpose, and you can book it for guests also, for your family members basically. So you can simply call the officer in that particular area and ask that person, okay, please book a officer rest house for me, and he will book a room for you. You don't really need to book any OYO room or make my trip go IBGO. You don't need to do anything. Simply call that respective person and ask him to book a room for you, and you will get a room for yourself. Then apart from these officer rest houses, there are holiday homes which are sort of premium rest houses. Okay, so that facility is available in every good areas for tourism purpose, like Khajuraho you can have, Bandhavgarh, Delhi, Manali. These sort of places will have these holiday homes also. Now, apart from these facilities, every officer gets a medical benefit for himself and his dependents. And you can directly go to the government hospital associated with your department, or you can get a recommendation from the respective doctor, and you can consult with a private hospital also. You will get reimbursement for that. So there is a process that needs to be followed, but you can get yourself checked up in private hospitals also. So there is a decent medical facility. We don't appreciate them in initial stage, in initial phase of our job, but in the later phase, when we have a family and we have so many dependents for us, then we start appreciating these medical benefits. So these are pretty good benefits that we have. Now, other than this, there is a very good facility of deputation. Now, there is a system that you can get yourself deputed in any department or any ministry of your choice, provided that there is a vacancy in the department and you fulfill the eligibility criteria for that particular post. For example, within Railway Ministry, you can go to Delhi Metro, you can go to RITES, you can go to IRCTC, you can go to Dedicated Freight Corridor, you can go to any PSU of railways, given that there is a vacancy and given that you fulfill the eligibility criteria. Other than Railway Ministry also, I can go to the Ministry of Defense, I can go to Ministry of Textile, I can go to any ministry wherever there is a vacancy. Okay, so this is a very good scheme because we get to explore much more than our own department and much more than our parent ministry. So that is something that I always feel is very good about being a gazetted officer, a Group A officer. Then finally, other than your deputation and medical and other facilities that I have discussed till now, for being a railway officer, there is a distinctive advantage. And what is that? Wherever I want, all across the country, I can get help. So let's say my friends or parents want to go to South India, and currently I'm in Central India. Still, I can call my counterpart in South India and I can ask him to help my parents or help my family members. So that sort of help can be arranged in any part of India, anywhere all across the country. You just have to call your counterpart and ask them nicely, okay, sir, I want this help from your side. Please help me, or please help my brother, my sister, or my parents. And you are going to get that help because everyone feels like a family within Indian Railways. So that is something that I always feel good about. Well, apart from all these salaries and benefits that we have discussed, there are three things which create a lot of hype in the aspirants, and these are the bungalow, the vehicle, and the peon or a personal servant. So if we talk about bungalow, then I can say that 80% of gazetted officers get themselves a personal bungalow, and it is a nice 2 BHK bungalow with a front garden as well as a back garden, but it depends upon the location. So if you are posted in a metro city like Delhi and Bombay, then there will be a shortage of land and most probably you are going to get a flat. Okay, so either you are going to get a flat or you are going to get a bungalow. The chances for bungalow are high in lower class cities and in lower locations, and in major cities and in metro cities, most probably you are going to get a flat. So that is the situation of bungalow. So don't always assume that you are going to get a nice bungalow with a big view and big greenery. That is not always the case. But yes, in majority, in 80% of cases, it is going to happen. Similarly, if we talk about the vehicle, then again it depends upon your posting and it depends upon your work. If your work is field related and if you need to go to the field on regular basis, then you will be given a official vehicle in your junior scale at the time of your induction to the service. Otherwise, there will be no vehicle given to you. For example, I am in diesel side, there is no vehicle given to me. People who are in workshops, they don't have any vehicle. People who are in headquarters, they don't have any vehicle. But the people, let's say they are working in civil engineering department, AEN as we call them, they get a vehicle because they have this field work. They need to go to the field very frequently. People from S&T department, signal and telecommunication, they get vehicle for themselves because of regular and frequent movement from their office to the field. So that is about vehicle. In senior scales from junior administrative grade, you will be entitled for a vehicle and then you will not get a transportation allowance, of course. Now finally, let's discuss about personal servant. So do IES officers get a personal servant from the beginning of their service? The answer is a big no. At least in railways, there will be no personal servant given to you, at least not in the junior scale. Maybe from your junior administrative grade, which comes after around 10 years of your service, you can get a personal servant, but that is also not sure shot. That is also not a concrete thing. At least in the junior scale, you are not going to get any personal servant. So please remove that confusion from your mind that there will be some servant coming to your house and doing your things. But what happens is that when you are working above so many staff and there is so many employees working under you, maybe 500, 600 people, and there is a cadre of helper people also. So you can ask some of them to work for you once in a while. So they are going to help you because you are their boss. Otherwise, officially, you are not entitled for any servant for yourself. Okay, at least not in juniors. Well, so that's it for this video, and I hope you now have an idea of all the facilities and benefits that you can expect for being a gazetted IES officer. In the next part, I am going to discuss about job responsibilities, exact job profile and daily routine, and what is my personal view about being a gazetted IES officer, that we will discuss in our next video. Thank you for watching the video and have a happy and healthy life. Good luck for your exams if you are preparing for ESC or GATE exam. Thank you.